Is Dr. Susie Jacob. I am a general practitioner in the UK by training, and as I always introduce myself, a successful online business coach. And I started my journey about 3 years ago, just over 3 years ago. And one of the questions that I get asked all the time is, "You're a doctor. Why did you think of the online business?" And that's actually the $1 million question, isn't it? Why did I, as a doctor, want to start an online business? And as I sometimes now just shrug it off, people comment under my posts, are you a lazy doctor? Are you greedy for more money? So that was none of my reasons, just to let you know, to start the business, because I was already earning 6 figures in the UK, and my husband used to work as a private chef for high-end clients like Gordon Ramsay, David Beckham, some of the names to mention. So it wasn't more for financial gain, but it was one thing that I did lack in my life was family time. My husband used to drive a motorcycle, drive about 100 miles a day to get to his work and back. And he used to leave home at around 4:30 in the morning and come back around 11:30. That means he's off to work before I wake up and back after I'm in bed. Our daughter hardly used to see us. And till about 3 years ago, I used to work 50 hours a week as a general practitioner, easily 12 hours plus per day. So the person who actually really, really suffered was my daughter. She suffered in silence. She came to an empty house, especially when she was a teenager, 13, 14 years she was. She used to come into an empty house and used to, heat up a meal that was 3 to 4 days old. And talk about irony. Her dad's a private chef for high-end clients, and she had to heat up a meal that was about 4 days old. And I didn't have the patience to actually, after a 12-hour shift, talk to anyone. I think many of you can relate to what I'm going to say. I used to come as, when I used to walk in after work, my husband, if he's at home, if it's his day off, he's at home. He used to run to one room. My daughter used to lock herself in the room, because you didn't know what version of Susie Jacob you were, going to encounter that day after a shift. Because most of the time I would be that nagging wife, grumpy mom, because after working 12 hours, dealing with sick people, dying people, it just takes a part of you. Don't get me wrong. I love medicine. I'm still a practicing doctor, but 50 hours plus, it just takes, a part of your life out. And one fine day, this was about 4 years ago, I walked home after a 12-hour shift. My husband was still not back from work, and my daughter walked into our room, and I told myself I wouldn't do this, but she had a blade in her hand. She had a blade in her hand, and she told, "Mama, I can't keep myself safe." That moment, my world, fell apart. All my accolades, I was working a well-accomplished doctor for the NHS, and I was leading a team of 250 people, of doctors, advanced nurse practitioners, and pharmacists. And, at that moment, all that meant nothing to me. It was just a piece of paper. All those things meant absolutely nothing. And at that point in time, that was my never again moment, I can say. I didn't care what people thought. I knew at that moment that my baby girl needed me, and nothing was going to come in the way of me finding a way to spend more time with her. For years, till about last year, I used to blame myself. And, I used to walk around feeling like a failure, because I failed as a mom, as not recognizing my baby's self-harm. I failed as a doctor. Imagine, I'm a GP, so I treat people from birth to the grave, so to speak. And I just missed it completely. And I realized it's the 50 hours. You're too exhausted. You're just too exhausted to do anything after that, And that's how my journey began. And of course, I didn't know anything other than to be a doctor. Like, I had no idea about sales or marketing or anything, but I was willing to learn. So out of desperation, I started looking but I was willing to learn. So out of desperation, I started looking out for things. Before the business, I used to do property a bit, but that took me more away from my family because, here, as we call them, estate agents or realtors, as in the US, they work only 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, and I work, those are my core working hours. So sometimes I used to take annual leave and go and do all those things. And I was like, this is ridiculous. It's like having another job. Then out of desperation, I did a bit of crypto, made a bit of money, lost a lot of money, went into an MLM scam, all those things. And finally, one day, I saw my mentor's post. It wasn't even an ad. It wasn't even an ad. It was a post of her, and she was in Ireland. Sharon, I know you're listening. So it was a post of her talking that she's having more family time, and that's not what actually caught me. The thing that caught me was because I was doing this, and my husband and my dad knew about it. My dad was saying, and obviously my parents still don't know about the self-harm. I'm not very public about all those things, but so my dad was like, you're not business material. You just need to work as a GP. You are a good doctor. And my husband was like, whatever. Like, he was fed up of trying to get me to do anything other than, me seeking to find more time. So, but they were not going to stop me. And I was like, you can, you don't have to believe in me, but I am going to do this because I had a very strong why. And as long as your why is something that makes you cry, it's strong enough, and you will keep going. High waters, whatever comes your way, you will just keep going. And that's what I did. And when I saw her ad, she said something, and that's what caught me. She said her mom was like, why are you doing this? And she said, Mom, just give me a chance. And I remember that particular week, my dad saying that, and I said, Dad, just give me a chance. I just want a chance. And the rest is history. Like, I just fought. And when you click on something and like something, you keep on seeing that person again and again and again. And after 1.5 months, I was like, this lady is earning 2/3 of what I'm earning in a year by only working 1 day a week as a nurse. And I'm like, I want that. And that's how I jumped into the online business about 3 years ago. And I've never turned back, because by that time I had made a bit of failure and experience, and I knew that this business would work for me. From day one, because of my previous 1 year of doing certain things, I knew that I hit a gold mine, because, I've done Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi's mentorship. And I've got a personal mentor to do Facebook ads. I spent quite a lot of money. And I was like, and at that point in time, there was only trifectas. And I was like, that's like what you're getting here. When you go to the outside world, you'll know you're paying peanuts for such a huge return of investment. So I knew the system would work. And for me, is when I looked at people who were successful, I was like, if they can be successful, why can't I be? It was as simple as that. If they can do it, I've devoted 26, 27 years of my life to medicine, which is a very, very hard specialty. You have to study lifelong. And I was like, this is not rocket science. If people can do it, I'm sure I can do it. So I believed in myself. I believed in the system from day one. And then initially I was like, yeah, the products are the investment. But now I actually, after using the products, I believe 100% on the products. And I know what we are selling is much more worth it. I used to suffer from acid reflux, and I noticed after 6 months of using the Kangen water, I had to throw all my tablets because it expired. And then I was like, oh, this stuff actually works. My daughter used to suffer from lots of acne, used our spa, and it helps a lot. So I believe in the products, I believe in our system, and I believe in myself. And I believe that through God, I can do all things. So my biggest why is my family, my husband. And within 14 months into the business, I was able to retire him completely from his private shift job. I said, honey, you're not going anymore. Enough of traveling 100 miles a day, you're staying home. So I retired him within 14 months into the business. Within 20 months into the business, from 50 hours, I'm now about 28 hours, planning to cut down next year further. Again, I'm planning on that. Now we are more present parents, which was my biggest why. My daughter, a couple of months, was saying, I can't get rid of you guys. You're always there. Now she's 17, of course. She's like, Mommy or Daddy's always there at home. We're all very, very present parents. We just found our calling, and this business has done so much for us that we now give back to the community. My husband does full-time mission work. we spread the love of Jesus, and also we give and share to orphans, feed the homeless, feed the orphans, sponsor some children.